You're watching SKST Radio.
Welcome to another episode of SKST Radio, Authors Network. And I have a new author friend on the line today, Amy L. Bernstein. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Cami, and I am really excited to be here with you today.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm excited to have you. Okay, so you got new books, and I mean, my gosh, how long have you been an author?
Well, it depends on when you want to start counting. We could say that starting from the age of 8, or we can get real and say I self-published my first book and didn't know what I was doing back in 2008. Then I skipped a whole bunch of years and did a bunch of other things and wrote plays and things of that nature and came back to novels. Oh, I don't know, within the last 5 or 6 years, I'd say.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you have a new book, and what's the name of the new book?
So the new book is called Dreams of Song Times, which I think is kind of beautiful and lyrical and different.
Oh, wow. So give us a little synopsis.
Absolutely. This book is really not unlike other things in the YA or young adult fantasy genre because I've packed so much into it. So this really is an explosive fantasy of love, loss, and redemption about a mermaid full of secrets, on the run, and ready to risk everything for a future she never saw coming.
Oh, I love mermaids. Oh, so sweet. I cannot wait to get this book. I'm telling you. So, what gave you the inspiration to start writing?
I am just one of those people who I'm a lifelong reader, which I think most writers read a lot. And as a kid, I read constantly. And when I get a hold of a story idea, I just have a deep compulsion to try and figure out how to sort of shape it and share it and talk about things that I'm really interested in. It's a really exciting process where you discover a lot about yourself when you're writing.
No, that's so cool. So, your very first book when you were younger, what was
Oh,
that
no,
about?
yeah, no, it wasn't a book. It was really, I just remember writing like a short story in second grade about a man who owned a grocery store. And I was very, very pleased with this work. And I remember showing it to my mother. And of course, she was over the moon, right? But I think I just had the impulse very early.
Yeah, wow. So, tell me about your support system. When people realize that you are a real live author, how did your family and friends receive you?
Oh, that's an interesting and I think somewhat loaded question. It's kind of a joke among writers that their family members are often the worst people to turn to with their writing life because family members will do one of two things. They will go, oh, that's great, honey, that's great, or they'll go, well, why are you doing that? Like what? What is it?
That's true.
I mean, things of this, or they'll read something and they'll do one of two things. They'll tell you it's the best thing they've ever read because they love you, or they'll tell you everything that's wrong with it because they love you. I do not. I don't even let my husband read my work until it's like really finished. I play it. Close. I keep it.
So let me ask you this. So when you first did your very first book that you were ready to publish it, well, how did you get it published? How did you go about making it happen?
Well, let's talk about modern times because things have changed a lot. Back in 2008 was the dawn of the self-publishing industry. And at that time, there were a handful of companies that basically would take your Word file, design a cover for you, and then sell the book back to you. Now, that might sound like that's how it works today, but today you can self-publish. You've got the tools in your own hands to do it for low cost or no cost. Back then, there were very few options, and you had to rely on a company to do it, and the internet wasn't as robust. So for self-publishing my first book was a very different kettle of fish. So fast forward, I do have 2 novels out that are from traditional publishers, and then Dreams of Song Times is self-published as a real labor of love. And because sometimes, as a writer, you just really want to get your story out there directly to readers. And the best way to do that is sometimes to publish it yourself, as long as it's well edited and you've really made it the best book that it can be.
Wow. So if I wanted to be I am a writer, not me, but if someone wanted to be a writer, What type of tools will they need to get started?
Well, I think it's what Stephen King says all the time, and he's sort of famous for saying it. Every writer needs to be a reader. So you really need to be reading a lot of books. You should be reading fiction and nonfiction, maybe short stories, maybe essays, because you need to begin to see and hear and understand and kind of get it into your skin how books are made, how writing is done. If you don't read, it's very difficult to become, I think, a fully viable author. And I feel safe in saying that. But if you want to write, you need to really, really have a passion and almost a compulsion to tell a story of some kind to connect with a reader out there somewhere. I mean, unless you want to write just for yourself, which is absolutely fine. But you need to have a real commitment and a real compulsion to want to keep that story going and to really want to make it the best that it can be to connect with readers. So it's a commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what gets you going? What motivates you?
Well, it's funny. I had this conversation with a bunch of writers the other day. It may sound odd, but I'll be really honest. I find that sort of I use kind of negative self-reinforcement, which works for me. What I mean is, I tell myself that my day is worthless, or it's I'm sort of a worthless human being if I'm not writing that day, or if I'm not really thinking about a project, or if I'm not in some stage. And that sounds awful and harsh, but it's not that I'm down on myself. It's that I really do need and want to do this, and I spend hundreds of hours doing it. But sometimes I just need to really kind of. I'm very excited about my idea and what I'm writing, but sometimes I need to kind of basically crack the whip a little bit to just get myself to sit there and do it. So I just tell myself, you're wasting time if you're not writing. This is what you need to be doing, and that works. I guilt myself. I guilt myself into it. It's not really negative because it winds up being positive.
Right, right, right. So now, what is your next project that you're going to be working on?
Well, I am really deep into a new book now that I am not ready to talk about. Remember, I said I don't even show it to my husband till it's
Right,
done.
right, 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 right. Okay.
But when you get really deep into it, you start discovering all the problems with your structure or your story or things you haven't figured out. So I'm at that point now where I have to kind of figure out how the pieces of the puzzle go together.
Yeah, I found that my stories, they lead into, it's like my stories, they write themselves. And it's kind of like, when you add in the little pieces, so it can be, so people can visualize what you're talking about. It just seemed like my story takes a track of its own. It's like it goes, okay, so you have to have it this way in order to have it this way, or this part makes sense to do that. Do you find that to be true for you
So
as well?
are you saying, are you a pantser or a plotter? Sounds like you're a little bit of a pantser.
I am a pantser.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm really a combination, because what I find is, while I love to let things flow and things and my characters to surprise me and ideas to come to me like all of a sudden, I also do a lot of note taking and outlining and structure work. I do both, and that
Okay.
works for me.
Okay. Well, it works for me too. So, okay, so tell people how they can get your book.
Well, really the easiest thing to find all my books and links to all the things that I'm doing, well, some of the things, is my website, which is amywrites.live. It's just amywrites.live. I have a newsletter that I send out occasionally. You can sign up for. I give stuff away from time to time. And I love it when people sign up and readers engage.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. Well, Amy, thank you so much for spending your morning with me. I appreciate it. Is there anything else out there, something coming up that you want people to know before we go?
Let's see. I don't think so at this very moment, but I
Okay.
appreciate that opportunity, Cami. I've just been doing some bookstore readings, but I don't have another one on the schedule right now.
Okay.
And let me tell you, I really appreciate this opportunity. I think what you're doing with authors is wonderful. And I wish you also all the best with your own writing
Well,
ventures.
thank you. Thank you very much. I feel like networking makes the dream work all kinds of ways. So if
Yes,
we work together, pull together, we can get this writer's frontier up and out and connect, make each person feel special. And so that's what we're trying to do here
that's
at
great.
SKST. So thank you so much for being a guest on the show. And also, when you're ready for your next interview for the next book, give me a call, let me know.
I won't hesitate. Thanks, Cameron.
All right, Amy. Thank you. Okay, guys, that's in the show for today, and we will see you next week on SKST Radio. Thank you, Amy. We appreciate it.
Thanks.